South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Hi there and welcome to Headliners. I'm Lauren Pastrana. A student-athlete controversy in Broward sparks a student walkout in protest. The principal at Monarch High School was reassigned after it was discovered a transgender girl was playing on the girls' volleyball team. CBS News Miami's Joan Murray has reaction from the Broward School superintendent.
There was pink, blue, white, Monarch Unite.
More than 100 Monarch High School students walked out of class, some to support their reassigned principal, others to back the volleyball player accused of violating the state law banning transgender athletes from playing on a girls' team.
I'm part of the LGBTQ community. I support the people who are around me.
I walked out in support of my principal. Bring my principal back. He was an amazing principal.
I feel like he was just trying to be a good person, and it wasn't really his fault, like maybe the coach's fault or the district fault for letting them play.
Our first priority are students. It's, no matter what, it's students, and making sure that they have the support, they're also protected, and that we are following the laws to do that.
The Broward superintendent said because of what happened, there is now a review underway of the athletic vetting process.
We have some new processes that we're going to move forward with our new system and focus in our terms, and we will have an extra level of investigation on making sure that everyone's eligible for the sport they're playing.
Right now, on the state form, players must state the sex assigned at birth.
We want to make sure we do this right. Nobody is guilty of anything at this point. That's what an investigation is for.
The superintendent said he became aware of this controversy a little more than a week ago when he got a call from a constituent in the district. He said that constituent did not want to be identified. In Coconut Creek, Joan Murray, CBS News, Miami.
Commissioner Joe Carollo says he should not have to pay the multi-million-dollar judgment levied against him after a jury found him liable for violating the First Amendment rights of two Miami businessmen. CBS News Miami's Nakaya Carrero spoke with a combative Carollo.
A judge says residents will not have to pay Commissioner Carollo's $63 million bill to the owners of Miami Bar, Ball and Chain. But he says he will fight this judgment.
I'm amazed that individuals that are millionaires want to come at me for $1,000+
Those individuals are the owners of the Miami Bar, Ball and Chain, who won a lawsuit worth over $63 million against Miami Commissioner Joe Carollo for violating their First Amendment rights. Carollo would have to garnish his wages to pay the men, which he is not pleased with.
The errors, the faults that were committed during this trial are so many and so unseen by the volume and the type that it put the legal community basically in shock down here. They never seen anything like this.
Carollo held a media availability to talk about the garnishing of his wages. He claims in his appeal he will prove they aren't allowed to do this.
When you're the head of a household, when you make more money than your spouse, your wages cannot be garnished.
I asked Carollo about the residents' feelings regarding them not having to pay his bill.
I think the residents would be happy that your wages being garnished means they don't have to pay through their tax dollars.
That's an outrageous question that you're giving me. This is so biased that you shouldn't even be worrying anything that says you're a legitimate reporter. How can any resident be happy that $1,000+ is being taken away from an elected official that all that he did was defend his residents?
Carollo says his plan is to fight this judgment, and if he has to, he will take it all the way to the United States Supreme Court. In Miami, Nakaya Carrero, CBS News, Miami.
Now to the latest on the Israel-Hamas war. One man being held hostage by Hamas has a South Florida connection. The American hostage still being held captive as of last week is the stepson of a Florida woman. She spoke with CBS News Miami's Anna McAllister.
35-year-old Sagi Dekalhen, a father and husband, was kidnapped last month as he watched hundreds of Hamas militants cross the border into Israel. His family hasn't heard from him since, and they're doing everything in their power to bring him and the other hostages home. It's a horrifying reality that's hard to fathom.
It's been impossible.
For Gillian Kay, the last nearly 2 months have been a living nightmare for her and her family. Her 35-year-old stepson, Zaki Dekalhen, spotted the Hamas militants in Israel on October 7th while he was on his way to the store before the attack started.
He saw terrorists begin to break through the fence and come into the kibbutz. He immediately turned around. He sent out an alarm to everyone.
Sagi rushed home to his pregnant wife, who's due any day now, and 2 young daughters, trying to protect them before the militants arrived.
He managed to jerry-rig their safe rooms so that they were protected and they were not killed.
Kay says as her stepson's family hid, he and a few other brave men tried to fight off Hamas, but they were taken as hostages to Gaza. Sagi's wife and his 2- and 6-year-old daughters were taken to southern Israel, something that's been incredibly difficult for his eldest daughter to deal with.
She understands. She cries for him all the time.
Though Israel and Hamas have reached a temporary agreement for a ceasefire in exchange for hostages, Kay believes it may be some time until her stepson is released.
We are not confident Sagi will be one of them. It seems they're holding the younger men, back.
Kay says her husband, who was a dual citizen of Israel and America like her stepson, has been overseas ever since, trying to get his son home. The family isn't giving up hope on Sagi or the other hostages, and they say they're willing to fight for them until the very end.
He is a hostage in Gaza for more than 7 weeks, going on 2 months. And we need to remember that they are people who need to come home.
I asked Kay if her or her family has received any indication on when her stepson will be released, and she tells me they have not. Reporting in the newsroom, Anna McAllister, CBS News, Miami.
When we come back, see what the DEA is doing across South Florida to take on a troubling and sometimes deadly trend on the rise. Stay with us.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back. I'm Lauren Pastrana. Only on CBS News Miami, chemists in Miami-Dade County discovered dozens of never-before-seen chemical mixtures. They were in street drugs. They say it's part of a trend pushing out stronger, more dangerous substances. CBS News Miami's Larry Seward gives us an exclusive peek inside the DEA lab working to keep those drugs off the streets.
Every day, we see it.
Agnes Winokur oversees the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's Southeast Laboratory, perhaps DEA's busiest. The fiscal year ending in September delivered 10,000 exhibits, more than other labs. Kilos of rainbow fentanyl and other narcotics seized by DEA, FBI, ATF, Federal Bureau of Prisons agents in 5 states and Caribbean islands. They're warehoused of chemists using specialized tools to help prosecute manufacturers. Sees a startling trend.
Unfortunately, we get unknown compounds way more often than I wish that we did.
In the last 6 months, analysts discovered 59 compounds they had not seen before mixed into various drugs. This nuclear magnetic resonance machine breaks unknowns down to atoms for chemists to study. Increasingly, they find meth, cocaine, and fake prescription pills more pure, more mixed with fentanyl than ever. DEA says 2 milligrams of fentanyl kills. Here, seized pills average more. Chemists found up to 4 killer doses in 1 pill.
Now imagine when you add a 3rd drug, and then a 4th, and then a 5th, and it really literally keeps going. I mean, we have had samples, I have had 7 or 8 different drugs. So the danger is that much more than what you're hearing us talk about, and what you're hearing in the news. Because sometimes they're not even studies, pharmacological studies, toxicological studies, to having the effects that a pill with 8 different drugs have in a body.
According to Centers for Disease Control, nearly 108,000 Americans, more than the population of Miami Beach, died from drug poisonings in 1 year. 2 out of 3 involve synthetic opioids like fentanyl.
When I see the people that are being affected, especially when it's kids, it hits hard. When I hear the parents speak, when I see that it comes out of nowhere, when you just had no idea that this could be happening to your child, or they were struggling, or they didn't know and they just made a very simple mistake. and all of a sudden they've lost their lives. So for me as a lab director is how can I get this message across?
Winokur staff seek to be messengers beyond testifying in court or dishing data-driven public safety alerts. What's at stake is personal.
It's our families, our communities, our friends. Yeah, this is personal. And we're going to meet the moment. And we're going to get out there, we're going to share our information, we're going to analyze it, we're going to say this is what it has. There's no ambiguity. The danger is very real. The data shows it unequivocally.
Agnes speaks about these trends to grade school students, teachers. She leads workshops in and out of the state of Florida. Friends and neighbors get earfuls too. Winokur sees members of her team doing the same, and what they see feels that important. Meanwhile, special agents say they're increasingly targeting distribution networks run by the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels out of Mexico, which the DEA blames for the majority of fentanyl trafficked. Larry Seward, CBS News, Miami.
A South Florida couple has extensive injuries suffered during what was supposed to be an exciting vacation. That vacation turned into a nightmare when their shuttle bus was rear-ended on their way to their cruise ship. CBS News Miami's Chelsea Jones shares their warning to travelers.
The woman you're going to hear from says because Miami is known for its port and the cruise ships that take off from right here, you want to make sure that you're prepared, especially with this being the holiday travel season. Cheryl Robinson was set to sail with her husband earlier this month on the Serena by Oceana Cruises, but they never made it. The shuttle, she says, that came as part of the cruise package stopped in the middle of the highway twice. And just as she tried to warn the driver to put on hazards,
in the midst of saying that, bam. The sound is nothing you've ever heard. It was like a building crashing down on you.
The shuttle was rear-ended by a semi. This is the aftermath. A shuttle crumbled. Several people were injured. One person died.
Watching, someone lose their life right in front of your eyes, that was traumatic.
After the crash, she was taken to a hospital several miles away from her husband. She credits the U.S. Embassy and her travel insurance for getting them back together and ultimately back to the States.
Travel insurance is not only going to pay for your trip in case the trip gets canceled, but also is going to cover for medical payments.
Cheryl's husband needed emergency surgery and she was wheelchair bound. The task of walking still proving to be a challenge.
What have they done though? Like, are you going to get reimbursed for this trip?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Cheryl has been in contact with Oceana Cruises, but at this point has been given no compensation or explanation regarding this incident. Here's her advice to you.
Make sure you have insurance, travel insurance, all the kinds of insurance that you can have to help yourself, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Cheryl also hopes that the cruise line takes this as an opportunity to review the businesses they use as third-party services. We reached out to Oceana Cruise Lines. We'll let you know when we hear back. In Miami, I'm Chelsea Jones, CBS News, Miami.
When Headliners return, strong words from a local artist behind the Windwood Faces. What he's saying to the person who took them down. Next.
From South Florida, this is Headliners, only on CBS News Miami.
Welcome back. I'm Lauren Pastrana. We have a follow-up on a local story we brought to you on Headliners last month. With Art Miami starting this week, local artists are busy creating masterpieces to show the world. One artist tells us he uses art to help with his recovery from addiction. CBS News Miami's Anna McAllister caught up with him in Wynwood and brings us the story.
A colorful cluster of faces once covered this pole made by artist Michael Addis, but he says over the last week, somebody ripped them down, and now he just wants to know why. For those who live in Wynwood, Michael Addis needs no introduction. He's the face behind the Windwood Faces.
It's great.
We told you about Michael about a month ago, showcasing his intricate faces he sculpts and paints throughout Miami's art district. For Michael, art is his saving grace. It helps keep him sober.
I was on the street for 20-something years smoking crack. I just decided this is no way to live. Now that God has blessed me, go to work. And so that's why I'm out here doing this.
But on Thanksgiving, Michael says he found out that someone ripped down about 12 of his faces. Leaving the pole they were once plastered on bare.
Man, I almost dropped to my knees and cried.
Michael is dumbfounded by why someone would take away his art because it's the pride and joy of his life.
As long as an artist doesn't bother anybody physically, mentally, or their property or their money, they should not touch them.
But Michael says he's turning the other cheek.
I'm just going to keep on going, doing my faces. So if you want to rip them down, keep it up. I don't care. I will still make faces. So enjoy yourself, buddy.
Reporting in Wynwood, Anna McAllister, CBS News, Miami.
Christmas season is here, and we love to spread holiday cheer, whether it's with incredible displays or the stories that just make us feel good. The Parade of Hope is designed to raise awareness and much-needed funds for childhood cancer research. CBS News Miami's Jacqueline Quinn introduces us to a young cancer patient who got to ride in the parade and who's about to speak before Congress.
My name is Jake Dueñas.
He's just 8 years old, but he's going to draft something special.
I'm going to write a paper for Congress.
Oh, not just a paper. He's going to Washington, D.C. with this message.
No, I don't think a lot of people understand what I'm going through.
I don't think there's enough research. I don't think there's enough funding. I think childhood cancer needs more awareness.
The point of his essay is to advocate for kids with cancer.
I don't really have friends that don't have cancer. I don't really go anywhere. I don't really have friends.
Through several months of intense treatment, Jake has been improving. Today, he's getting a chance to ride along in the Parade of Hope.
I see a little bit of my baby in every one of these children.
Sylvia Dominguez-Vani runs Mystic Force Foundation. She is the organizer behind this parade. She's doing it in honor of her 4-year-old son, Salvatore, who died from cancer.
I always tell people that the difference between an adult and a child battling cancer is that an adult will sit in their hospital room getting chemo and they'll think about all the things that they have done, what they haven't done, what they wish they could still do. And a child just wants to feel better so they can go out and play and have fun.
Merry Christmas!
The parade rolled out at 10 to pass by Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital and then to the Sally Foundation Children's Hospital at Broward Health.
While some came down to the street level to watch the parade, many of these young patients watched from their rooms.
The parade is simple, made up of volunteers from the Mystic Force and law enforcement, along with a bunch of toys. But it means a lot.
What do you think of this? I love it.
Somewhere in the parade was Jake, who is nearing the end of treatment. And little things like this is just what he needs to get to the finish line and ring that cancer-free bell.
What do you think you'll do after that?
I think I'll try to go eat lots of food.
In Hollywood, I'm Jacqueline Quinn, CBS News, Miami.
So sweet. Thank you for joining us this half hour on Headliners. As always, keep it right here to CBS News Miami for up-to-the-minute breaking news and weather 24 hours a day. Make it a great one.